Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. Hey, before we get started and I introduce the guest, I just want to give out a huge thank you to our newest sponsor, Emergo Academy. If you guys want to know a little bit more about Emergo Academy, you can find them on emergoacademy.com. Dave and Susan Kenny are actually the founders of Emergo Academy. And they're also my coaches, my own personal coaches. I actually took their training, geez, almost probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And what makes Dave and Susan different than other crisis and recovery coaching is they use the brain first method. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to work with them because being on the other side of the addiction and even back in the early 2000s, as many as you guys know, I battled my own addiction with cocaine and alcohol. you know we're using a substance or gambling or porn or shopping or whatever it may be as the band-aid. We know that there's something else that's going on inside of us. So when you're able to tap into the brain, it really starts bringing things up. We like to use the term a little bit, what's below the surface, as like an iceberg. You got 10% of the iceberg above the water while the other 90% is below. And I feel, not believe, but I feel at least that's where we hold a lot of our trauma and our emotions. And by using the brain first method, that helps those things emerge. So the iceberg is sitting higher up on the water. So again, a huge thank you to Dave and Susan Kenny at Emergo Academy. Guys, I highly recommend checking them out. Even if you are not interested in becoming a certified crisis and recovery coach, I highly recommend taking their training because I guarantee you, and that's a big word to say, but I guarantee you it'll help you with your everyday life because it really helped me with mine. So today we are going to be talking about the want to attitude with our guest, Tory Trout. So, Tory, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be on the show, use your voice. And I just want to say before we get started, I want to say thank you to Kirk, who is a friend of ours. I have never met Kirk, but Kirk was on my show about 2.5, 3 years ago. I look at him as a good friend. He's just a phenomenal human being. And I'm just grateful that he introduced us because I've only seen you here on the screen for a very short time. And it's already one of these people that I feel like I've known the majority of my life. So thank you again, Tori, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So going through your bio, I picked a couple things out. And before we started recording, I threw out three little topics for you. And as soon as I mentioned the want to attitude, I watched you sit straighter up and you just got this big smile on your face. What does that mean to you?
Well, what it means to me is, well, let me take you back, is throughout my whole life, there have been people that were actually in addiction themselves and was trying to help me because I've always had I don't know, I've had the want to, but I have never been willing. So that resonated with me a lot as if you don't have the want to, you would never get anywhere in life. I don't know if it was the want to that I had, but every time I would get back, I've been to prison 4 different times for a number of like 13 years. So the whole time I felt like I wanted to do better, but my actions inside prison never reflected that.
Hmm.
I would stay mixed up in gang activity, although I wasn't really in a gang, but I hung out with a lot of gangsters and I was always trying to peddle little drugs that I could find, or I was just making every excuse to stay caught up in that lifestyle, you know. And I've always had like the want to, but never the willingness, and then wanted it even more. So what it consisted of was me getting out of prison, going out to a situation where I thought maybe it would be good, but then when I got there and it wasn't, instead of removing myself from that situation, I indulged in it and I took it to the furthest extent that I could possibly, and just so having the want to for me resonates a lot because it'd be like want to and willingness are like the hand in hand thing for me. So that's why it resonated with me.
Yeah. So what happened in your life to really change that script? Because as you mentioned many times here that you had that willingness, right? I mean, not really the willingness, but you wanted to. You knew you needed to change your life. And that happens with a lot of us, right? I mean, you know this, it's you're not the only one that's gone through it. We feel that way that we're the only ones. However, there seems to be an aha moment for some of us that finally I guess I like to say it's like somebody grabbed a 2x4 and finally whacked us upside the head and said, "Wake the hell up." What was that for you?
For me, I was wrapped up in methamphetamines, and I was starting to hear a lot of voices, and I was taking subliminal signs from street signs and stuff like there was unnatural things happening to me. And I had gotten to a little thing down here at it's in the Radisson, it's a restaurant inside the Radisson, where
Okay.
I ended up getting into a fight with security, ended up going to jail. Well, while I was in jail, I ended up suffering from a bad manic episode where I just lost my mind. Every officer in the jail, I disrespected to the fullest. I spent 3 months butt naked inside the cell. I went on a fast for 3 weeks with no food or water. And I was in it was a padded room for people with mental health issues. But I was so violent and angry with them, they didn't have any way to control me. So they kept me in I could get into it, how bad it was inside it,
Mhm.
but that's neither here nor there. Actually, it's kind of helped me now that I can reflect. So I ended up getting a deal which would send me into the drug court program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or if they have it.
Yes. Yeah, we have one here in Salt Lake. Uh-huh.
And so I went in front of the judge that had sentenced me previously to all my time in prison. And he looked at me and said, Mr. Trout, and he said, I know you have a drug problem. And I want to give you another opportunity because back in 2010, I was admitted into the drug court program, but 2 weeks after I got caught rolling down the road with a mobile meth lab. So that's when they sent me to prison for 78 months. Well, this time I got in there and I lost my mind. I was manic. I was dealing with so many mental health issues. And I finally ended up giving myself some time to reflect, and I still hadn't had that coming to moment. So I got out and I was homeless before I went into jail and then got out. So they put me in a program called Kalamazoo Probation Enhancement Program, which is short for KPEP.
Okay.
Uh, I did that. Then I went into a sober living environment. It's Gilmore, it's New Beginnings. It's here in Kalamazoo, and I still was wrapped up in the everyday hustle and bustle of the fast life, trying to hang out with the same people, do the same things, trying to draw them into recovery with me, like, oh, you guys ain't shit if you don't come to a meeting, or like I was trying to make it, but still, oh, can I get those Adderall so I can catch a play over here so I can make $50 because I ain't got no money. I don't have a job. I didn't have anything. So my falling back to has always been to get a sack of dope or do something to where I can sustain. So, well, I ended up going, this is about 3 to 4 months into my sobriety, recovery, whatever you want to, after jail. Uh, I went back into an atmosphere where everybody was still tweaking and everybody was getting high. So I tried to go, like, I could go hang out with everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, me, the sober one, and everybody else is getting high. So I figured, yeah, I'll be all right. And then I just started looking and the conversations that they were having. And I'm like, and I had that coming to God, or that spiritual awakening or whatever you want to call it. And I was like, this was my life, man. This is completely horrible. Like all you're doing is sitting around talking shit about each other and how this person's trying to kill me. And I know the cops are following me. And I was like, it just all hit me at once, like poof. Like, man, these are my friends and I have mad love for them, dude. But I just can't do it anymore, man. I just like enough was enough, man. It's so for me, that was like like being able to go back into the situation sober and having all these different tools that I've learned through in that few months, which I was actually a brick wall at first. I didn't want to hear anything anybody had to say. My idea when I first got out was like, yeah, screw drug court. I'm gonna run back off to Tennessee or Florida, or because I have family. I'm not even worried about it. I'm just gonna go back down that same road. But instead, I was like, you know what, man? 13 years. I've had my hand in the fire for too long. My ass is getting sore. So
Yeah.
I had that coming to moment.
I think that's really cool. And thank you for sharing that and opening up because it's crazy. It's crazy where life takes us, right? I mean, you figured you was going to go back, hang out with some of the old people, but yet you had been sober just long enough to really view it in a different way by seeing what you saw. And it sounds like it finally opened your eyes, just going, my gosh, that's the person that I used to be. And we both know it still takes a long period of time, right? I mean, getting clean isn't like, a one or two, or like you could even go AA, like a 12 step and you're done. Because it's not. It takes a long period of time. I mean, even close to up to 2 years, if not longer, really before that brain is healthy again and it starts thinking better and the neurons are firing. I mean, even 12, 13 months, you start seeing some of that change, but it still takes more of that time to start thinking differently, focusing differently. And and also, I think what's cool, and I don't know completely how drug court works, but I've known some people here in the recovery community that have graduated. It's saved their life, and you and I know too that when we're suffering from an addiction or whatever it may be, it's not, that's just our band-aid, right? Because we just don't want to feel our emotions, whatever that may be, whether something happened to us as a child or we went through a divorce or what we got in an accident, whatever it may be. But so many people, when they start their recovery journey, think that it should be something like, I'm going to go to rehab 30 days later, I'm going to get out, I'm going to be awesome. I'm recovered, I'm going to be great. But I think what we forget, we didn't fall into our addiction in 30 days. We slowly fell into our addiction. It took time. And then by the time we realized how deep we was in way, way too deep. And it takes just as much time to get out, if not longer.
Yeah, so I'm 30 years in, so I got 27 more years to go.
Hey, you're on the right road though.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And congrats for you. So once you started realizing that, once you went to go visit your old friends, you saw what you saw, and you're like, nah, like you said, man, my ass has been burnt enough, man. I am not, I've made my life a living hell. I'm gonna start working on it. Which direction did you go from there?
From there, I actually went onto my social media platforms and I blocked anybody that was still in the life. I just blocked, 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 and
Wow.
I went cold. I spent a lot of time alone and I worked 60 to 70 hours a week. And anytime that I was at home, it was to be there to sleep or and I'm in drug court too. So I was doing it's a substance abuse meditation module that they have with integrated services down here. And then I was also doing MRT, which is like a meditation. I can't remember the exact acronym for it, but was doing that also along with 90 and 90 meetings. So they keep you accountable and whatever else I was doing. And just there was no time for any of the bull stuff. I was just like, there was a lot of times where I just felt lonely and I wanted to go back to those same people. I wanted to go chase some vagina because I know, I've always been able to go to that place and or to this girl or have this relationship with somebody. And I just fought with myself daily to just, you know what, it'll come. And I had other people like my recovery coaches. I think actually was on your podcast at one time. Rest in peace. But Justin Heflin.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
And he was a real instrumental in my recovery. We spent a lot of time together. He got me involved in softball recreational activity with like-minded individuals that were in the sober living recovery.
yeah.
So I just found a lot of different. I played basketball and softball. I go to volleyball. Was doing and I just started hanging out with other people that were in recovery or sober, and I blended right in. Like it was. So that's how I kind of spent
So
my.
so you change one group to a healthier group, right? And I'm sure they say this where you're at as well, because here it's used quite a bit. The opposite of addiction is connection. And when you connect yourself with like-minded people who want to make their lives better, right? And a lot of them have already done it for a long period of time, but yet they're still in those connections because those connections mean so much to them, and it's a big part of their sobriety. And really, in all reality, just so our listeners know, you don't even really have to have an addiction. I mean, connection is huge for anything. I mean, that's why, in 2020, we all know what happened there. And I have to be careful how I say that because yeah, we've already had one show pulled because of it. But
Okay.
it's just that um humans lost that connection and we freaking need that. So I can understand where you're saying how you felt alone, because I mean, I'm single. My wife passed away in April.
Sorry.
And I have not ever really been alone this long in my life. And we were separated. We had still I still call her my wife because I had a spiritual thing happen and she doesn't like me to call her my ex-wife. So I still call her my wife. But we had already split up and everything, and I've not ever gone this long without having a partner or somebody in my life. And it's been a struggle for me, a huge struggle. I mean, I got friends that I can hang out with, and I go out and date here and there, but to come home to an empty place every single day, it starts wearing on you. I mean, it
Mm.
really does. Because some of my single lady friends, they have their kids, some have pets. I love animals, but I've had so many of them when I was a kid. I don't want the responsibility of them. I don't want to take care of them. I want to be able to leave when I want to leave and not have to worry about taking them out to go to the bathroom or have somebody take care of them. So yeah, that connection is very important. And like in your bio, you said something about staying headstrong, and I'm taking it as that's where you stayed headstrong. You got rid of the people that you knew was not going to be healthy in your life, and you brought people in that you knew was going to be healthy in your life.
Yeah, that was my pro social activity for my recovery was like one of the saving graces for me, like having all these other people to bounce stuff off of. And then I know I said I was lonely. Then I can't remember exactly who it was, but they said your word association is all wrong. You associate being lonely with sadness and all these different emotions. How about you're just by yourself?
Mm,
If you're by yourself, you don't have to have that because the word association plays a lot into the way a person feels. If I
absolutely.
say, hey, I'm by myself, and I can, you know, be happy by myself right now and not be lonely and sad and gloom and all these things. So I started using different words to make myself. It was like a self motivator of sorts.
Yeah. And you're so true. You're so correct on that, Tori, because I had a friend buy me a book called Word I Am Word. I think that was the name of the book. And it's how certain words actually can change our energy in our body and our mind. I do my best not to use the word but. It could be used in a negative and it could be used in a positive. A good example is I love you, but I'm really ticked off at you. So if I say but after I say I love you, I just canceled out the I love you.
But
Now
pretty much, yeah.
you can say, I'm really upset with you, but I love you. Now you really canceled out the other one. So, and the word hate, I took that out of my vocabulary probably like 8 or 9 years ago, and it does not come out of my mouth. Well, let me rephrase that. I think twice I have slipped. I mean, I don't even use it. You know how like a lot of people use it. It's like, oh, I hate these shoes. Oh, I hate the way my hair looks. It's still that word. It's still that negativity that you're still sending out. So it is so right. I mean, the way that we use our words, the verbiage that we use can make a huge difference in our life, and it does change it. It's changed mine, and I'm just saying that off of experience.
Yeah, for me right now is the one thing I'm working on is I was raised by pirates, so I have a slick foul mouth at times, and I do it without even noticing, like FBAOK, whatever letter the and
Yeah.
a lot of people don't take too kindly to that around here. And I usually like sometimes I'll say in an endearing way, like, what's up, bitch? And then a lot of people don't like, there's some people that do. So you got to know your audience pretty much. Like you can't just do that with everybody. And that's one thing that I'm working on is my my words.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing to do. We don't really realize it, do we, until we start learning some of this stuff. And I was a late bloomer. I didn't start figuring things out till I was like in my mid 50s. And it took losing a 24-year career to actually start changing my life. And I lost it because of my weekend abuse, with cocaine and alcohol, which is crazy. I only did it 2 days a week, but I did it for 8 years, you know, and it completely changed my life in a way that I never thought was happening. But it also ended up being a blessing because when I lost that career, it totally changed my life to really for me to look deep inside myself. Kind of like when you said when you was in prison and you're in the mental part, right? And you're in this room that's all padded. And once you can get to that point where you really start reaching deep inside your soul, and I have a question for you. You don't need to answer it if you don't want to, but the majority of my guests, something spiritual has happened to them, and I know in recovery they say you can't do it without a higher power. And it doesn't matter what that higher power is for each individual, right? Some it's God, some it's the universe, some it's a rock. One person said that their goldfish was their higher power. So, did something like that happen to you in your life of having a higher power, a spiritual thing, or something that kept you fighting for the freedom? Because it's tough, right? You just don't wake up one day and go, okay, I'm going to go into recovery because you run as fast as you can and you want it. You finally got that willingness to be there, but you still run into wall after wall after wall after wall. And to be able to fight for that freedom to get yourself through that wall, I think we have to have something greater than us to help us get through that.
Um, I want to tell you how it went for me.
Okay.
I wasn't the higher power type person. I always felt like nobody can do anything for me that I can't do for myself. That's one of the life lessons as I like if I want something done right and I want it done, I'm gonna have to do it myself. But I do believe there is a higher power. There is something greater than us in the universe, which I don't rely on that to get me to where I need to be. I'm more of that, the headstrong. My brain is going to get me to where if I can control my thoughts, if I can urge surf these urges, if I can think about something else for 7 minutes, then those things will go away. Your thoughts only last so long if you sit and write it out and, weigh the pros and cons. And a lot for me is after I got out of prison, I lost my mom, I lost my cousin, I lost my grandma, all within a short span of time. So the God part of the higher power was like, all right, I'm struggling already with everything I got, and now you want to add this on top of it, and this on top of it, and this on top of it. So I was like, all right, if I'm crying out for help, because there was a lot of times that I was trying to go the spiritual route and I was looking for people to give me some kind of hope within religion or, and I don't know if I'm just looking for a debate inside of that box of religion or whatever it
Mhm.
is. But I found myself more influenced by myself and everybody around me. So I like to say the look see do method, like John Jones as a fighter. He looks, he sees it, he visualizes it, and then he goes and does it. So for me, my higher power was everybody else around me, as I
Okay.
feel like if I see him doing it and I know where he's been, I know he was right there beside me in the gutter while we're out here doing whatever else, and look at him now. I have the same capabilities. So for me, it was like I'm seeing all these people do good, and that's what brought me my inner strength. And just for me, like nothing's stronger than your mind and yourself. If you can control that, you can take over the world.
Yeah. Well, and I'd like to get rid of the if on that, right? Because really, with my training, as I talked about at the beginning of the show with the Emergo Academy and about the brain first approach, one thing that I learned in the training is this doesn't control us. We control it.
Exactly.
So when we are thinking those bad thoughts, when we have training or when we have the right people around us that has helped us or people that we can reach out to, or going and playing sports or working or whatever, to when we have those tools to know how to go, no, wait a minute. No, this is not how it is, right? This is how it's going to be. And we're able to shove it. Now our subconscious does its job, right? Our subconscious is so freaking intelligent and it does exactly what it was meant to do. It seems to still shuffle it forward again. So I could just, it's like you put it in an elevator and hit basement to allow it to go down in the basement, and then someone comes back and hits the fifth floor where you're standing at, and it comes back to the fifth floor again. However, the more that you start practicing and the more you start working it, and the more you start recognizing it, that elevator slows down. Now, instead of stopping at the fifth floor, it's stopping at the third floor. And then gradually it stops at the second floor. I read a book called The Conscious Creator, and that was something that was, I read the book. I think I've read it a total of 2 or 3 times. I've got it highlighted like crazy, dog-eared. I mean, the book's normally about like this. I think it's that thick because of all the dog ears that I have on it.
Yeah.
But it really taught me something about paying attention to our thoughts. And it takes time. And that's why they call it conscious creator, because you can create, just like what you just said, Tori, we can create really whatever life that we want to. God gave us that ability, right? That is a blessing that every single one of us that walk this planet have the capability of doing. I made a post on my social media about, I think it was like a relationship or something like that. And I always respect people's comments, right? I don't take it to heart because we all view things differently. And I had one of my lady friends come and says, "Well, yeah, in a perfect world, this is how it is, but it's not a perfect world." And I was telling a friend of mine at the gym this morning, I said, there isn't a perfect world out there in the 3D. It just isn't, because that's how life. But I like to see I like to have my own perfect world, right? I like to have my world is inside my own bubble. And everything else out there that I cannot control, I do my best not to even think about it or visualize it. Now, does that make my world inside my bubble perfect? No, because I have to grow. If it's perfect, I will never grow again. I will never become better. I'm just basically, and I'll end up staying stagnant. And we all know what happens to water when it stays stagnant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's how we view things. I mean, I think we use a lot of the old verbiage that has been thrown out there the majority of our lives, and we use that as excuses. I'm guilty, 100% guilty of doing it the majority of my life. And it's something that I'm working on pushing away because I don't want to use those terms that I grew up around as, oh, I can't do this because I can't afford it. Oh, money doesn't grow on trees. Oh, I can never do this. Oh, I'm in my 60s now, so it's a little too late for me. Bullshit. I think we all have the capability to go wherever the hell it is where we want to go, as long as we not let this control us.
Yeah. That can do attitude, right?
The
Or that.
can do attitude. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So where do you see your life going now? I mean, my gosh, you look happy, you look vibrant. I mean, if I had just met you and not known your history, I would have never known that you lived the life that you lived.
Yeah. So now I actually just got out of a program that helps people out of homelessness. Um, it's Open Doors of Kalamazoo, and they put me in a position where I could save, and I had already been saving almost everything I had. And then I put myself, when my mom died, she left me a little bit of money, but I put myself in a position to where I could become a homeowner. So I worked on my credit and I got up to a 640, and then I went to a class with a home ownership program I went to, and the girl I met in recovery just happened to be pregnant with my child. And so I was like, I got the baby on the way. I have her daughter, so my stepdaughter or whatever,
Yeah.
my bonus child. And I was like, I guess it's no time like the present to, finally make a life for myself. Giving yourself a life worth living. I put all these things together, or we did, me and her. We put all these things together, and it made me not ever want to lose that again. It made me, so I went and I bought a house. I got a significant grant from Mishta, which is like the government program that they do for first time homeowners. And I got a really nice house at a pretty affordable price, a nice backyard, big front porch, big back porch. Um, just bought myself a brand new truck. I know those are just material things, but those are things that you can put in your life that make you not ever want to have to lose everything that you have again. So it's either keep my house, truck, kid, and family, or go back to dope. I mean,
Yeah.
what? I mean, two and two makes three, right?
Well, and I like how you said that, those are just material things. However, when you find yourself in a position like where you found your life, right? Where you burned a ton of bridges, made life even harder for you, you know, those are big things, right? I mean, those are huge things. And I, I again, that is something that I just really enjoy being a part of the recovery community and doing this show is because I've gotten to meet so many people who literally lived on the streets and ate out of dumpsters, and some sold their bodies for money just so they could get the drugs or the alcohol that they needed. And I mean, so many bad things that happened to them in their life, but that's not who they are today. that was somebody in their past, right? And I hope our listeners who, if they don't understand addiction or they've not ever had a family member or a loved one, that's battled addiction, again, when somebody's working on themselves, which I think we all need to do for the rest of our life, there's always improvement to be made. There's the old self. That doesn't make us who we are today, because I guarantee you, no one's walked this planet without making a ton of mistakes. It's kind of like I've watched the Jesus movie, a couple of them, quite a few times, and it's like, when they was getting ready to stone the whore, and Jesus said, "Those who have not sinned may cast the first
I've
stone."
got it tattooed right here on my arm.
See, yeah,
He who was without sin cast the first stone.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean, we've all done
that's
it, but again, that
crazy.
doesn't make us who we are today, right? I mean, Tori, I'm sure you're not the same person you was a week ago. I know I'm not.
Right.
Because it's that continuous growth. So really, when you can buy a house and you can go out and get a new vehicle, and you have somebody that you're with that loves and cares about you, and I tell you what, as a man having a daughter, I have two of them, and I have two granddaughters. Man, that changes your freaking life. As a man, at least it was for me, that turned me into a freaking baby, basically. I mean,
Sure.
yeah, they have a way of grabbing your heart and digging those claws in there and not letting go. It just something changes in us. It's kind of like a mom and a son, right? It's just kind of that opposite thing. But I mean, good for you, man. I tip my hat off to you because it's not easy. It sounds what you telling your story, it sounds kind of easy, but it's definitely not easy.
No, it's not easy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fight.
And the fight continues, right? The fight continues.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's a you can't let your guard down for 1 minute because you'll be getting caught in the jaw.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and life happens to us.
Yeah,
Life.
go
Go ahead.
ahead. Oh, for me, like I've had spurts where I've been sober when I was in the free world. Uh but then I would always fall back into it because I just I didn't have enough to give care about. I just I never made myself a life that I could afford not to lose. Like I was living fast, selling drugs, doing so. I mean, when I grew up, man, I was raised into a life where my mom was addicted to crack cocaine. My stepdad, which is my biological dad's brother, my dad did he was in federal prison for armed bank robbery. So my brother's dad, or my father's brother, raised me, and he had an alcohol and crack addiction also. And he was always real mean to my mom. There was domestic violence going on every day. And then I used to sit there and I used to hate, excuse my hate word, but I did not like my stepdad for the longest time. He was like he treated my mom poorly, and he got me into cooking meth at a young age of like 14 years old.
Hmm.
Like the family that I was around, I had like an uncle that would try to keep everything straight and narrow for me, but then he would let all my uncles come and live at his house, and they were all running dope, selling drugs, smoking weed, treating their women like shit.
Yeah.
And slowly, I became the person that I hated, and not even knowing it. So for me now, it's like yeah, I didn't have the best upbringing, and I didn't have a fair chance at a good, I don't know how you want to put it, but like I'm not taking the victim stance at all because
Mhm.
I did become an adult. I did have the power of choice, and I was influenced my whole life. So in and out of juvenile homes, boys' homes, prison, the whole 9 yards. And I had the choice, but I didn't have the route. I didn't know nothing about building your credit. As my parents were teaching me that, they were teaching me where to hide dope at if you got pulled over from the police. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That was my life. Like good, like those types of things were not for me now. I want my kids to have good credit when they turn 18. I want to have them like I'm not setting up a college fund. I'm saving money so y'all can start your own credit and get you in a trade or something so I can. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't even remember where I was going with that. Sorry.
Well, no, it's all good. It's just where you take your life and when you make that decision, right? So, I mean, I'm looking at it, Tori, is you broke the chain, right? You had these links of your family, one link after another link after another link after another link. You added yourself on that link and the chain is building. Then one day Tori wakes up after seeing old friends in a park, getting high, babbling, going, what the hell am I doing? You started cutting that link right then and there. Now you have a stepdaughter, you have a new daughter,
Boy,
right? A
he's a
boy.
boy.
Okay, so you have the boy, but again, you're allowing what you did now to start a whole new healthy chain because what you saw, what you lived, you don't want them to do that because
Oh
you know what
no.
it's like. You definitely know what it's like. I mean, I had a guest on the show quite a few years ago who grew up in the LA area, all gang. The whole neighborhood was gang members and everything, And I mean, he's doing drugs with his parents at age 6, age 7, because, I mean, and then the big thing is if you made it to prison, you're a man. You're a
That was
man
it. That
if
was
you
a rite
get
of passage for me. Everybody
right.
went to prison.
Yeah, because and then when you get out, everybody's there to say, "Hey, congratulations! Oh my gosh, it's great to have you back. Let's go get high." And he
Yeah.
said when he started when he got busted and he was going to go to prison for a long time and he got into a different program and he says it took him a while, but all of a sudden he started going, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know life was like this," because he didn't know, right? He had no clue. He thought everybody's life was the way it was, the way his life was.
Yeah, same,
And
same,
and
same
I
here.
think I think the outside world, myself included, I don't think we really understand that, right? It's that stigma again of the addiction. We don't know what everyone's gone through, and I've said this on my show many times. I've gone downtown Salt Lake City and I've seen the unsheltered down there and I've seen the addicts and I've seen the guy freaking out on the corner or somebody talking to a tree and I've walked past them when I've gone downtown and my old brain thought was get your fucking shit together, man. What the hell's wrong with you? And I'm just being honest on it. I mean, that's exactly what I thought. Then when I started doing this show and I started interviewing people like yourself and they started being vulnerable and open up and I'm going, oh my hell, oh my freaking hell. So now I go downtown and I see that and the first thought that comes in my mind is what has happened in your life to put you here?
Feel that empathy.
Yeah, you get that empathy. I mean, see, I got freaking goosebumps over here on this side because I'm curious now. I'm curious of what the hell, what tragedy put you here? Now, there may be a few that they're happy to be there, right? But I would say the majority, they didn't put themselves there just to put themselves there. Something happened. And again, like what you said, you found yourself being just like them. You're in it before you even realize that you're in it.
Yes. So back in 2017, I'm trying to get, you know, I'm trying to get my life together, but I'm still peddling dope. I'm still doing all the things. Uh, I took a Xanax bar for the very first time. Uh, and I went to the casino with my cousin, and I ended up my cousin ended up getting kicked out of the casino, and I ended up going out to find his car. It was the middle of a blizzard. and I didn't see his car anywhere. So I seen a vehicle with the keys inside of it. So I went and took that vehicle. Well, me being on the Xanax bar for the first time, 2 milligrams, I kept passing out and waking up. Well, I ended up getting into a high speed collision. I was going 101 miles per hour and I ran a stop sign, and the other person was going at a high rate of speed, but not too much over the speed limit, but still. Uh, I ended up getting into the accident, and I ended up collapsing both my lungs. I put a hole in my heart. I severed my liver. I broke my ulna and my radius. I lost 4 inches of bone on both sides of my arm. I suffered severe damage to both sides of my frontal lobe. Um, and so I ended up getting out of the car and running and going to hide under a bush. And the canine dog ended up pulling me out of the bush, and I was petting him and telling him thanks for saving my life or whatever. Well, I had what I thought was a coming to God moment. Then I ended up going to jail and having to rehab all my injuries without any pain management, if you could only imagine. I
Mhm.
think I had like the residual effect of my guts hurting for at least 2 to 3 years after my accident. But I came to myself, and I thought I was having a coming to. And I was like, you know what, man? I'm done selling dope. Was not enough. I got out of prison, ended up going right back into the same lifestyle, man. And I felt like I've had that coming to moment time and time again and time after time again. But and then I don't know what happens to me if I just never put myself in the best predicament to blossom. I always try to find a little thing to put me back into it. Like for when I was on parole, like, oh, if I want to pass my drop, I can get high from Monday to Wednesday, knowing I have to drop that Monday. So by the time I can get clean for those 3 or 4 days, and that turned into, well, fuck my parole officer. She's either gonna like that I'm a drug addict or she's not, you know? It was just like so many times I've always wanted it, and I never really had the want to. I always had I had a hope, the hope that never turned into reality until now. And like so for me, I'm just blessed that for the drug court program and keeping me accountable. And for me, it was so many more people that I didn't know that were willing to help me than the people that I did know and that supposedly loved me or was my family, or that could care less. uh Obviously I gave them a reason to care less, you know what I'm saying? Hindsight, but at the time I was like, man, fuck all y'all, man. Don't care about me. Nobody cares about. I was playing the victim role, like,
Yeah.
uh, and now it's like, man, I understand. Like, I know you're familiar with the amends process, right?
Mhm.
Well, I did a few amends, but like the amends that truly meant the most to me is when they came without me having to even say anything. Like, man, I can see you on Facebook or wherever else, and I've been hearing good things. And the people that I really wanted in my life somehow made it back to, because I wasn't, everybody I knew wasn't in addiction or wasn't using drugs. And so, like, maybe I might not have burnt those bridges, but I don't know how I want to say it, but I didn't do anything bad to him. But to burn the bridges is I kept getting high and I kept doing drugs. I might not have fucked you out of a bunch of money, or I might not have did anything. And there's a list of people that I have done stuff to and done some crazy ass. You can't. Well, I don't know if we want to get into the stories for the sake of the program, but now, I mean, I can go into a room and nobody has to worry that Tori's gonna do something stupid or what's he gonna do next. And you better watch out for dog or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now I can go into the room and people actually want to engage with me and possibly become my friends. So I like I wouldn't I feel like I don't want to trade this for the world, like why would you? Like, but that ism is a bad mamma jammy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
most definitely. And it something that you said here just a second ago, Tori, was, we figure out a way. We always use whatever we can to go back to the life that we're trying to get out of, right? However, if we turn, not if, when we can turn that power around and use that same type of force in staying sober, it works just as well as it worked the other way, right? However, it's a healthier way. We're not screwing people over, we're not stealing, we're actually using other individuals. Well, I don't want to say using is a bad word. There are other people there that are there for us to help us get through that, and that's where I just to go back real quick on not religious but the spiritual sense of things is I was talking to somebody about a week ago, and I was bringing up a guest that I had back 3 years ago out of Colorado, and she said something that really got me thinking. And she was 30 years clean, and ironically, she had a son that was around 30 years of age, battling heroin addiction. And as a lot of us, that when that phone rings, our butthole puckers, right? Because we think there's the call, they're dead. And she was telling a friend this one day after church, and her friend said, those that don't make it, she felt that God calls them home to take them out of their pain because the struggle's just too strong for them. There are others like yourself who have gotten themselves through it one way or another. They are God's angels because now, where would either one of us be if we didn't have somebody that's gone through it and lived it to help us get through our stuff, right? And then that turn around and resonates on us that allows us now to take it, to put our hand out and help somebody else that's going through it. So it just continues to leapfrog. And again, it's like joining the links together of a chain, but that chain gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And I really feel that there is a shift that is coming. I really feel there is a shift that is coming, and there's a lot of people who are realizing too that even though recovery centers have done what they've done throughout all these years, some have been really good, others not so good. They're just there for the money. But there's also, I think people are starting to really see that there's a lot there with the science, there's a better way now too, right? Because to me, a 9 or a 12 or a 15% sex success ratio in a recovery center, that's not good enough. We need 80, we need 85, we need 90. We got to switch it completely around. And it's individuals like yourself, like Kirk, like so many people that I know here in the Salt Lake Valley that is working their butts off to get that to completely change. So I just want to say thank you for what you're doing.
yeah, likewise. Thank you too.
Yeah.
There's a meme or something that I seen and that resonated with me, and I use it all the time when I go speak at the various places from the power group that I'm in. Uh, it says that I can't change the perspective or the view for the world, but with my story, I hope I can change the world for just one person or change their perspective. And that's that one little glimmer of hope that I'm not saying like comparing, like, you've had a lot better life than I have, man. And you got caught up in alcoholism. And I've been like having being able to relate to people and to share my lived experience, man, has given I don't I feel like it's given so many more people inspiration and hope. And like I don't know how many people have said in drug court, like when I graduated, a few different guys stood up and was like, I know if he can do it, I can do it because they've all seen me inside my addiction. And I'm like, I become a psychopathic crazy madman. And I was dealing with, like, my addiction brought in a lot of mental health issues, like the voices and all that, like the stress and the paranoia. And then like you said, after the 18 months or so, you could start to finally feel it to started to shake off. And then I got off my mental health pills because all they were doing was sending me to sleep every time I took them. I was like, and then after that, after those toxins left my body and I could finally breathe, I felt like I could breathe again. I might have been 100 pounds heavier, but I felt 100 pounds lighter. Like that burden wasn't on my chest. And I felt that. So that was for me is like being able to work where I do. I work in a sober living environment, and being able to share my experience and possibly give inspiration to the others around me, man, is like I've never thought I would have a job that was fulfilling to me. It's like I feel like I'm making I polluted my community long enough, so it's time to do a little extra to help. So yeah.
Good for you, buddy. I'm proud of you, man. So yeah, keep up the amazing work. Keep putting your hand out there, helping others, because as you know, it's worth it, right? You're already seeing the benefits of being on the other side of the addiction. And it's a great feeling, isn't it?
So don't forget anything when you head this way. All right. Because you don't want to have to go back for it.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at. Like I took everything that I needed from that lifestyle with me, what I'm saying? Like all the pertinent good things and
Yeah.
all that others, I left it. I'm not going back to retrieve anything. I've come too far.
Good for you. Good for you.
Sure.
Well, Tori, again, I just want to say thank you, man. It's crazy how fast an hour goes. I mean, it just zips by so quickly. And again, thank you to Kirk, for introducing us, man.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you, man. And again, thank you for just opening up, right? It takes a lot for my guests to come on a show and open up and be vulnerable and tell people about, a life that they're not proud of, but it's a life that they left behind, right? And again, it's not who they are today. So, man, just kudos on you. I wish you and your girlfriend and the little one and your stepdaughter all the best. And I just hope you guys keep thriving and blessings keep just piling on top of you.
I appreciate it so much, Al.
Absolutely.
We could have been here talking all day, but
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if it wasn't for me being a guest on another podcast, would probably go on just a little bit longer. But yeah, it's because I know we would have. It's been a great show with great conversation.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. It was a pleasure being able to share this time with you, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, guys, we're going to leave it at that. Again, thank you, Tori. I greatly appreciate you. And thank you, Emergo Academy, for your sponsorship. Again, guys, if you're looking at wanting to learn the brain first approach, I highly recommend looking up emergoacademy.com. Check out Dave and Susan Kenny. These guys are awesome. These guys have just not my coaches. They've ended up becoming very, very good friends of mine. And before we sign off here, I just want to remind you guys to mark your calendars for Saturday, October 4th at the Miller Free Enterprise in Sandy, Utah. We've got our fifth Healing Utah Success Summit. We've got 6 amazing speakers. A lot of my listeners will know who I'm talking about SL Manny Boy, Manny Lopez. We got Joe Valentine. We got Alan Farringer. We got Amber Kay. We got Tina Erdman. And we got Cap Summerhays. Most of these people have been in long-term recovery for a long time. They got great stories. They're going to say they're going to share a lot of great information and a lot of hope, because hope is possible and it's all there. We could change our life. You heard it today in the show. So we're going to leave you with this as we do at the end. Oh, and if you guys are interested in going to the show, just go to my Facebook, Al Richards, or go to the Other Side of Addiction Facebook. You can also find it on the other side, or the Healing Utah Success Summit Facebook. A lot of the information where to get tickets, and tickets are only $25, so it's very inexpensive to go to the show. So we're going to leave you with this as we do at the end of every show. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.